were a platoon when I got there. That's how small and just like unique the community is. And this autonomous platoon within the Marine Corps that belongs to the support side and deploys with the infantry side. And like, it's just such a cool, unique atmosphere. We were in a condemned building. We had guys forward deployed. If a guy got hit or killed, the commander would walk out, plug in the beer lamp, would stop work, go play volleyball and drink beer, because you got to like keep that balance. Otherwise, it's in the back of your head, you know, hey, so-and-so got killed and I may be next. And we trained for about 8 months. Didn't know when we were going to deploy. Had to be done training by January. We were going to deploy anywhere between there and May. Ended up going in March. Got there, and it was just, I mean, it was game on. It was crazy. I mean, it was a tremendous amount of work. And so we were all over the Helmand River Valley, from Sangin to Nowzad to Marja, all the way down through some other places that aren't as famous. I ended up getting hurt in Safar Bazaar 6 months into the deployment, towards the latter half. I got hurt the first week of August. We were coming home in October. And there's a point, and you guys know this, in every deployment, there's like a turning point that's like, up until that point, it was like, man, let me get all the fun I can have. And then there's a point you hit where it's like,
there's a front and back. Yeah.
Never leave this tent again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, bro.
On the bookends.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bookends.
And, yeah. So it was like 2 weeks after that point.
Always is.
So,
always.
You know, but that's part of it, man.
So give our listeners a little kind of an overview, if you don't mind, on what the experience was like.
There was this little town called Safar Bazaar. It was out in the desert away from the river. And if that part of Afghanistan, you got to be like within a half a mile of a river, or you're just in the desert. And they grow poppy, so everybody pretty much lives next to the river to grow opium. And there was this little town out in the desert, and we as Americans, or ISAF, had left it alone, and it became this trading post, mainly for IED components. And so we had intelligence on it. We had watched it. We had tried to go in and do something there. Early on in my deployment, it didn't work. So we stood up this big effort, and we went down and basically took the town. It took us 5 days to take the town. As an EOD guy, I spent most of that time in my truck. I worked maybe 10 IEDs in those 5 days. And they were hooking and jabbing and you know, small arms fire, a couple IED hits. And then once we got into the town, it was gangbusters. I worked 38 IEDs in 3.5 of those 5 days, and probably a dozen that last day. Got woken up the next morning, and we had taken the northeast corner of the town, and we were starting to push out city block by city block, first the roads and then the buildings, to clear the town. And we'd already found this giant storage facility that had just thousands of IED components in it. That's what we were there to do to begin with. And what happened is we had to let them know we were coming so the civilians would leave. That's just kind of what we do. And so what they do, they took all their IEDs and they put them in the ground and made a minefield out of it. And that's why the numbers were so high. And so, you know, with numbers like that, you're going to run out of luck. It's just going to happen. It's part of it. And so we took 200 Marines, 6 EOD techs, 3 two-man teams. My team got the short straw. We did the main effort, and got up the morning of the 6th day. We were prosecuting, is what we call it, a road, and we had pulled a bunch of IEDs out of it and deemed it clear. And my teammate actually had moved a piece of ordnance called found ordnance, where we shoot something that doesn't blow up, the enemy takes it and harvests it. So he had picked it up and moved it. And I remembered from school, hey, that's not something you move, because you basically could start a timer on it and it might blow up. So I went over and kind of leaned over a wall to look at it and see if it were truly armed or if it had been spent. And honestly, I don't know what happened after that, because when I leaned back, I stepped on an IED that was there and threw me through the air. Really amazing experience. You know, I'd watched IEDs blow up probably a half dozen times total with trucks or people. And but when it was underneath me, like, one, there's no noise, and two, like, everything just turns into a giant cloud. And so it's a real surreal experience. It doesn't knock you out unless you get hit in the head. A lot of people think you black out. I never blacked out. I landed on my back, and if you've ever seen Oh Brother Where Art Thou, like, I remember kind of having that, damn, I'm in a tight spot moment. Like, yeah. There's not much I can do right now. My left arm was twisted behind my back. So I grabbed my right arm, and we put our tourniquets on our shoulders and our hips, because if you put them any further out, they're probably going to get blown off with whatever you need the tourniquet for. So I reached up with my right arm to grab the tourniquet up here, and my arm was filleted open and the bones were broken. So when I reached up, my hand stayed in my lap. And I remember looking at it thinking, God, dang it, man. Like,
It
it
didn't hurt. It didn't hurt until you looked at it, though, right?
No, it didn't hurt for like what felt like an hour, so probably 30 seconds. Like I did a lot of thinking before it started hurting.
Because you're trying to think about which part you want to, what hurts. Which one hurts the worst? Then I'll start feeling the hurt.
Like there's a couple things like my leg.
This is the Team Never Quit podcast. So buckle up, Buttercup.